For my research presentation, I researched Guillermo Del Toro. He's a Mexican filmmaker, actor, author, and makeup artist. Guillermo Del Toro was born October 9th, 1964. He's best known for his Academy Award-winning fantasy films, Pan's Labyrinth and The Shape of Water, winning the Oscars for Best Director and Best Picture for the latter. He attended the University of Guadalajara, which is located in Mexico. Throughout his career, Del Toro has shifted between personal, low-budget Spanish-language films such as Cronos and The Devil's Backbone, and Hollywood tentpoles including Mimic, Blade 2, Hellboy and its sequel Hellboy 2. Other films include Pacific Rim and Crimson's Peak, The Orphanage, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, and the Hobbit film series. As a producer and a writer, he worked on The Book of Life, Pacific Rim Uprising, and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Del Toro has been hugely influenced by James Whale's 1931 screen adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. The movie is sympathetic towards its monsters with a performance that, in Del Toro's words, manages to transmit both fragility and power. Frankenstein isn't a movie that Del Toro takes lightly. He once said that it touches the very essence of what I am and all that I believe in. Del Toro's style of work is about finding the beauty and humanity in dark horror stories. Del Toro's main influence for his style comes from the film The Night of the Hunter. The movie was so darkly themed, yet so beautiful, that it truly made Del Toro weep in awe. There are many visual images and themes that return in every Del Toro film. Motifs such as outsiders, fire, clocks, music, fairy tales, poetic film openings that usually start the film off with a question about mankind. These are all deeply embedded in the very fabric of a Del Toro film. The motif of the monster is the main theme throughout the filmography of Del Toro. Since the beginning of storytelling, monsters have been created to help us humans process the unnameable, to help us understand that constant fear and anxiety. Therefore, it follows that monsters become symbolic of the fears in their present time. There are many important themes throughout all of Del Toro's films, but probably the most important theme is the monster theme. For example, in Hellboy and Hellboy 2, the film's protagonist is an outsider because of his terrifying exterior as well as his obvious ties to the underworld hell. Despite the fact that he's pushed to live on the outskirts of society, he continues to fight to protect the masses. Another example is in The Shape of Water, which is Del Toro's 2017 film. The amphibian man is first introduced as a monstrous and dangerous creature that becomes transformed into a god that can grant life and heal wounds. Throughout all his films, Del Toro generally takes the gothic, romance, and fairy tale genres and gives it its own twist. It is the outsiders that receive special status. This makes his recent Academy Award win not only a victory for himself, but for all the outsiders that have been inspired by his films for decades and will continue to be inspired for decades to come. My favorite film of Del Toro's is The Shape of Water. This film's underlying theme is talking about the America that never existed. In 1962, everything was about the future. Cars had jet fins, everything was automatic and modern, life was perfect, but none of that really ever happened. Therefore, the movie is really about racism, classism, sexual mores, etc. that were issues in 1962 and never really went away. This seems to be America's fall, and I feel Del Toro did an amazing job portraying this. This film has influenced the way I perceive the world. Del Toro is my director choice for his candid view on life. He believes that outsiders should be more appreciated and cherished for what makes them different rather than banished from society. Del Toro can take a sci-fi movie or horror movie and find some way to integrate his beliefs into every movie, regardless of the gender. Del Toro's work, along with his roles as film director, writer, or actor, all have one thing in common. Del Toro's beliefs and creativity about society and how certain minorities are treated are expressed beautifully throughout his films. I believe that in all the films he directs, he isn't going to conform to the film industry's expectations for financial or personal benefit. Del Toro takes his unique and different qualities and uses them to make his films stand out. Del Toro has always considered himself an outsider. As a filmmaker, he has never felt like he belongs anywhere. "I'm too full of genre for the art film, and I'm too full of art for the commercial film. I'm weird," he laughs. As an immigrant, he is often made to feel different. "I may have light skin and sort of lighter hair, but the moment I open my mouth in immigration, all that goes away. When I'm stopped many times by a cop on a traffic violation and I speak, I am immediately a Mexican. So these are things that I'm trying to say in the film." Guillermo del Toro's work is unmistakable. He is influencing American culture by breaking the norm that the ugly, nerdy, timid, or monstrous character has to be the villain. This can influence the media by expressing the fact that just because people around us have different cultures, skin colors, beliefs, etc., doesn't mean that they are any less human. Del Toro is fighting the racism, sexism, and ignorance that has consumed America.